What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation, still coming at you from Centennial, Colorado. This has been a nice day and a half break. I'm about to head up to the truck so I can leave out tomorrow, and I'm gonna stop on the way there to pick up some tacos for my co-driver and trainee so he has a little something to nibble on. But I wanted to send a message out to everybody that's in truck driver training, and this doesn't matter if you're at Prime, CRST, CR England, US Express, it really doesn't matter where. But this is a message for you guys. You know, I got a call the other day from a trainer at Prime, and he called me because he knew that I'd done a video where I'd struggled in handling the mountains of West Virginia, Pennsylvania in the rain, and he had a driver going through something similar and wanted to kind of get my input on it and how I got over that situation. And at the same time, I was talking to another driver that was kind of talking about his fear of making mistakes with his trainer because his trainer overreacts anytime that he makes a mistake. Now, I can only speak about me. You know, I'm not a trainer. I train people, so shout out. You know, I'm not one of these people, one of these truck drivers out here that thinks that you got to kiss my ass for every fucking thing I do, for basically doing my job. You know what I'm saying? You know, if it wasn't for us, the economy wouldn't move, all that stuff. I'm not that guy. But I am somebody to give credit where credit's due. If you are a trainer, doesn't matter who you are training for, if you are a trainer and you're one of them guys that trains back to back to back, you guys are heroes. And I'm not even joking around about that. I train, and that means it's sporadic. I'll pick up somebody here and there, but that is not something that I do all the time. So shout out to all the real trainers out there. But I can only speak for myself as a trainer, and I know there's a lot of trainers out there that feel the same way. But when I have a trainee on my truck, I expect for them to make mistakes. I expect for them to feel uncomfortable. If they didn't make mistakes or didn't feel uncomfortable, there would be no reason for them to be on my truck. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm sitting here wanting somebody to make mistakes, but it's inevitable. I made mistakes, still making mistakes. And everybody that's coming into this industry is going to make mistakes. It's how you react to those mistakes. You know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, maybe some advice I would give to new trainers out there is correct the mistakes, maybe use the applicable tone to what situation they're in, but don't dwell on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure that my student, Juan, is not, you know, he's not somebody that would mind talking about this because everybody, listen, Juwan's an excellent driver, but just the other day we were going to make this right-hand turn, and there was a stop sign there, and he was almost about to take that out. You know what I'm saying? And we kind of made it through that situation, talked him through it, told him, reiterated, listen, if I'm going to make this right turn, I'm going to be cheating to this left. You know what I'm saying? I may not button hook it or anything like that, but I'm going to be cheating off to the left. So anyway, I'm just kind of using that as a teachable moment. And then once the moment is over, it's over. I'm not going to be dwelling on it. I'm not going to be beating him up or anything like that. I've talked to other trainees that said every time I make a mistake, my trainer's like yelling at me for the next 30 minutes, which causes me to make even more mistakes. Listen, if you're a trainer and you're going to say, Lyle, you only train like 5 people. You know what? I've trained people in other industries. There's a point where you're beating a dead horse, and at some point you're only satisfying yourself by getting that frustration out of you than you are actually helping the student. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a student and you're out driving, you're gonna make mistakes. I'm telling trainers or people thinking about training, students are gonna make mistakes. Like I said, if there was no reason, or if they weren't making mistakes, there's no reason to even have them on the truck, you know? So it's just how both people handle the mistakes. And we're going to talk about something when I get back to the truck with my student. But I think, you know, you don't have to be best friends. You and your trainer don't have to be best friends, but you guys at least have to have the ability to communicate without that communication devolving into an argument or anything like that. I've had, of all the students I've had on my truck, I think I maybe even only raised my voice like once or twice between all of them. Because there's really no point in doing that. What am I going to try to do? Frustrate them anymore? I only have one rule. And you know what? Let's talk about it. Mistakes that I'm expecting a trainee to make. I'm expecting them to miss exits. I'm expecting them to cut corners too short. I'm expecting them not to be able to back correctly right away. I'm expecting them to maybe be a tad bit conservative around corners and curves and stuff like that. And understanding that, I'm not jumping on them more than I should in any of those situations, or even at all. I might say something maybe a little jokingly. You might be taking this curve a little bit more conservative than I would, or something like that. But nothing to put them in a situation where they feel like they're an abused animal. And I did take a trainee. First one I had got off of another trainer's truck, and I felt that for the first 2 days he was beating himself up before, because I'm not going to mention every mistake. Listen, if a student understands that they're making a mistake, why do I need to come on top of it? He's already identified the mistake. So for about the first 2 days I was driving with him, he would mention the mistake that he made, and then he beat himself up like for the next 15-20 minutes over it. Listen, just get over it. You know what I'm saying? You identified the mistake. You understand how to correct it. We're good to go. You know what I'm saying? And maybe this is something to some of the bad trainers. This is not, being a trainer is not a platform for you to go out and, it's not meant to satisfy your ego, or, like some police officers. I think a police officer would be a good kind of comparison. Obviously you have good police officers and stuff like that, but you have other police officers that the only reason for taking that job or anything, or even attracted them to that job, was having that sense of power over somebody else. So no matter what company you're with, whatever, if you happen to take a job as a trainer, keep in mind that that is not your position, is to be domineering over somebody or anything like that. Your job is to teach them how to drive a truck. That has nothing to do with yelling at anybody. It has nothing to do with berating them or having them do all the work, or, well, at some point you want them to do all the work because you want them to understand the job, but it's not to necessarily use them. You know what I mean? So I think I'm all over the place on this video. I thought I had a little bit more of a pinpointed point I was trying to make, but I guess I'm kind of all over the place on this one. But listen, nobody is, at least I'm not. Let's just put it this way. If you are a student driver, and as my man Trucker Scooby-Doo says, doesn't matter if you're male, female, black, white, Puerto Rican, Ecuadorian, Chinese, or anything like that, you're gonna make mistakes. That's just part of the job. And as you continue driving, those mistakes are going to be fewer and farther between. When you're driving through them Pennsylvania, West Virginia mountains the first time, you're going to feel uncomfortable. One thing I can tell you is you will become comfortable. It's just a matter of time. You know what I'm saying? You will learn this job. It's just a matter of if you learn it the easy way or you learn it the hard way. I decided to learn it the easy way. Stayed on my trainer's truck April to November, just because I didn't want those growing pains out there on my own. But you're gonna get it. If you're struggling with backing, driving through mountains, driving in bad weather, whatever it is, you will become efficient at this at some point. It's just a matter of if you're gonna give up before you actually learn it. So I guess one of the points I'm trying to make is don't give up on yourself in this. You know, I actually did give up on a drive shift. I've mentioned that before. I was driving through them West Virginia, Pennsylvania mountains. It was raining, and I will say that my first TNT trainer was not the best trainer, so I didn't even have a good grasp on how to use engine brakes or any of that kind of stuff, and I just tapped out. I was like, I can't go any further. Now, I don't know if that trainer drove on my logs. I don't know what happened, but I couldn't drive anymore. And maybe I could have drove more had that trainer said, you know what, let me come up in that front seat and we can work through this together. But you know what? All he did was fucking grumble under his breath and just take over driving, and didn't even try to work me through the situation, because a lot of times that's all that you need, is somebody there working with you through the situation, which I didn't have, and I didn't feel comfortable asking him for that. So again, kind of wrapping back around to one of my other things, is a good relationship between a trainer and trainee is important, because had we had a good relationship, or I felt that I could come to him humbly and say, listen, I can't do this, can you just sit over here and do this, then maybe we could have got through it. Or if he felt the same way on the other side, then maybe we could have worked through that. But because we didn't have that, we weren't able to work through that situation. So I ended up learning all of that with my second trainer, who necessarily really I can't even explain the relationship between me and my second trainer. That's kind of, you know, I take kind of what I learned from him with just my management stuff and the industry I was in before, and try to kind of meld those together a little bit to come up with how I try to do it. But one of the things, and I'm kind of rambling on, this is a totally different thing, and I just thought about it as we're talking, but I was talking to a student, met at Salt Lake City Yard, and we were kind of talking about the whole trainer-trainee situation, and you know, some of the issues that some of the trainers may have. And I think a lot of the issues that pop up that you have in training with trucking is there is no scale up to it. You know what I mean? So if you're at McDonald's, or like I came out of the bank and mortgage industry or whatever, you know, you start off on fries, and next thing you know, you're on the little skillet, and then you kind of work your way up, and the next thing you know, you're a manager. Or if you're in my business, you start off as a mortgage broker, or you start off as a banker or whatever, and then you know, you've worked there for a while, gained everybody's trust and put in that work, and then you get promoted from there. So you've kind of scaled up to it. It's not like you've gone from whatever your job was before, especially for trainers that have only been driving for 6 months. But, you know, you go from what you were doing before to being a trainer with really and really it is management skills that you're kind of tapping into when you become a trainer. And I think that if I was to, this is totally different than what my topic was supposed to be, but since we're here, I think that is one of the biggest problems in trucking, is that a lot of the trainers don't have management backgrounds. They've never been in charge of anybody else. They've never had to put somebody else in front of them and things like that. So I think that the training to be a trainer that you get in any of these companies identifies what it takes to teach somebody how to drive a truck, but not to manage somebody personally. So dang, that went all off the rails, but that's about it. I'm about to wrap things up, get things packed up, and you know, the little bag I did bring home, get out to the Denver yard, get a little back in action in with Juwan, and head out tomorrow. But I do appreciate you guys stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. As always, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.